So welcome to a brand new webisode. It's Sunday afternoon, and it's halftime during the Steelers-Broncos game. I was doing notes for tomorrow's show and figured I'd take this moment to go ahead and shoot a webisode. Was channel surfing. I'm sorry, I just trying to figure out how I want to go about this particular episode. I was channel surfing, and K-Gun's doing a January 8th, 1 year later special. Flipped it over real quick to see Obama prattling on about it, and it is prattling on. But I hadn't really. I covered a little bit of January 8th on the show Friday, and Thursday with some editorials, and I actually have a story that I'm going to share on tomorrow's show. I didn't go out to any of the vigils or commemorative events. It certainly is one of those moments that I'll never forget. I'll never forget getting that phone call before the news had even hit. I mean, within minutes of the shooting, from a friend of mine who had a friend that was there at the Safeway, telling me what had happened, and obviously all the events that unfolded that day with me making the decision to go in and get on the air during the day on Saturday to cover what was going on, doing numerous TV and radio interviews on my drive to work about the event, being told that Congresswoman Giffords had died from her wounds, and only to find out obviously that was wrong. There was one thing in the article I was reading today though that stuck out, and that was it was talking about the finger pointing that took place afterwards. This event was so singular in its randomness. Does that make sense? It was such the definition of a senseless act. There was no true motivation from Jared Lochner. There just wasn't. We know he's dealing with some mental problems, but there was never any specific reason why he did what he did. Even if you want to boil it down to his attempts to reach out to Congresswoman Giffords or her staff, that doesn't even begin to craft a specific motive. And I think the fact that he randomly shot so many people that day goes to the heart of how senseless the whole situation was, which I think is why the event brought out the worst in terms of rhetoric from individuals whom, as I've said, just simply couldn't wrap their head around the fact this was a senseless act and a random act in its purest form. It really did. From Pima County Sheriff Clarence Dubnik's comments to the whole civility issue, which still continues. The article was pointing out to some polls that were done about how a lot of people got involved and talked about civility afterwards, but that slowly has all faded away, and it's faded away because there wasn't any merit to it. There was no link to civility. I mean, it was an uncivilized act, sure, but the civility they're talking about is civility in politics and the way that people talk to each other and don't agree to disagree or raise their voices or whatever. That had nothing to do with January 8th. If you want to have a conversation about civility apart from January 8th, okay, I can understand that. Personally, I think it's good in politics, and I don't think it's ever going to change. But when you try to bring the two together around January 8th, it just ends up running out of air because there's no substance to it at all. And that's really brought out the worst in a lot of people, unfortunately. Their vitriol towards talk radio, trying to make some sense of it instead of just realizing bad things happen. And I question a lot. I mean, the vigils, I understand, remembering those we lost, but it's turned into, in 1 year, it's turned into this bizarro de facto holiday with jumping castles and parks and Zumba classes. And it's like, no, we don't do that for 9/11. I don't think they do that for the Oklahoma City bombing. I just have a hard time with it. And it is different for me being a talk show host, and the charges that were leveled against me and other talk show hosts is just annoying more than anything. you know, when I hear about January 8th, I remember the stupidity of comments by Pima County Sheriff Clarence Dupnick and Pima County Democratic shock chairman Jeff Rogers. That's what I get reminded of. It's tragic that we lost people, but we lose people every day in this city, unfortunately. People die every day through whether it's automobile accidents or pedestrian accidents or homicides, and I mean, it happens. This was a big deal, and don't get me wrong, it warranted a lot of coverage given the fact that it was a political event, it was a town hall, there was a congresswoman involved. But in terms of the tragedy, yeah, it's horrific, but we deal with that all the time. There wasn't nearly as much focus either when it comes to the first responders, the police and fire who responded to this. You know, it's interesting too because I don't see the same level of interest when it came to the shooting of Officer Eric Height. I mean, and that was, you know, at the hands of a gunman and somebody who was sworn to protect and serve. And, you know, but you go back to Dark Knight and the Joker in the hospital with Harvey Dent, and, you know, well, that's all part of the plan, right? Okay, now I'm having a squirrel moment and I'm moving off too far. But it is worth noting that we don't do nearly as much on the anniversary of the death of Officer Eric Height, and it'll be interesting to see next year just how much hype is around it. I'm willing to kind of give this year a pass because it's been 1 year and the Congresswoman is still recuperating, and we're hearing she may resign later on this week, which I think is probably the best thing for everybody, and including her, if that's the choice that they make. That's obviously not for me to say. That's really all I got. I wanted to do something on January 8th. I figured it was appropriate, and I wanted to say a few words in regards to that. But I'm glad that we moved on from the anniversary and we can press forward now. So, all right, thanks for watching. Big announcement later on this week in regards to the show. I'm excited about that. And I'm going to go see if Tebow can't continue to pull out this game. All right, talk to you later. Bye.